Alright, so what I want to do today is talk about a few different ways in which you can increase your punching power, and we're going to be utilizing body mechanics, and it's a lot different to what you're taught conventionally, especially with modern boxing and modern Muay Thai, kickboxing and martial arts. I'm going to give you some theories to practice that come from a very old school of thought. So what we're going to do is, the first thing is to land a heavier blow with your fist is to turn your knuckles. We're going to start with the knuckles and we're going to work all the way through the body. And what you're going to do is, when you punch, you're going to turn your knuckle from being flat. You see, from being flat with the fingers to turn in the knuckle. And I'm going to do it at a 45-degree angle. So when I hit, what I'm doing is dropping my weight from here, from my wrist into the knuckle, and squeeze on impact. Another small thing is, sometimes I see guys who do not close their fist correctly. So that thumb always goes on top of the two fingers and squeeze. And what you're going to do is you're just going to turn your knuckle into the target. So whether you're throwing your straight punches, throwing hooks, uppercuts, or even the overhand, always turn your knuckle into the target, because the wrist will drive into the knuckle and go through impact. Okay? So the idea behind it is, instead of trying to hit with a sledgehammer, hit with an axe blade. Why? Because those knuckles are like blades. When you hit, it's going to be very sharp and it's going to cut. Okay? So the next piece that we're going to go into for the punching power is, we're going to work our way backwards. And that's utilizing the elbow. Especially today, a lot of guys, when they turn the punches over, the elbow is flaring. Okay? So in reference to the elbow, why is that important? Keeping it down, keeping it tucked into your body, your ribs, is because this is our center mass. This is where all the power comes from, is from our body. Now, if you think about some of the strongest structures on Earth, they're triangles. So, if you can see from this angle, when I put my arms out like this, okay, I'll lean forward, notice how I'm making a triangle. Triangle goes across, arms come out, meet at a certain point. The elbows are down to hold that structure, okay? So the elbow's pointing down. What a lot of guys do is, when they punch right from the shoulder, and they leave out the elbow. They go from shoulder to fist, out on impact. And so they're having to over-rotate the body to build power. When what's happening is, you need to go from your shoulder, hip, to your elbow, and from your elbow to the target. So you keep that down to keep the structure nice and strong when you're boxing. Okay? With that being said, you need to lower the target. What I mean by that is, you need to practice punching no higher than your chest. Reason being is because if I start to punch up, the first thing that moves to align with the height is my shoulder. So if I'm punching up, the first thing that's going to move is my shoulder is going to move up to go towards the target. Okay? What you want to do is punch chest and core level, because that keeps everything coming in a straight line. What I mean by that is, when I'm punching, see how my shoulder drops? My shoulder now can connect to my elbow, which can connect to my wrist, into the knuckle. See, in one motion. See, if I'm punching high, I'm going to be turning this first to try to reach to that height. And I'm going to lose a lot of power by going upwards. I'm going to root myself, and I'm going to come down to this level, right here, right in my chest. Okay? So that elbow, you want to practice not telegraphing the punch. So the elbow stays down, the fist moves first. You see that? So now my knuckles are going right into that target. So it's a connection of here. Okay? To get rid of this habit, lead in with the shoulder, flare in the elbow. We have this little tool right here. This does a lot of fine tuning for your punches, because where normally this would be a target and you would try to push through, there is no target. Your aim with this is to get your elbow through the hoop, because that trains you not to telegraph, but it also teaches you how to follow through with your weight. Okay, so I'll give you a few demos here. When I'm training the jab, I keep it aligned, elbow tucked in, and I like to keep it vertical, 45 degrees up, turn it over max. When we turn the knuckles over, the shoulder's going to turn over too far. The beautiful thing about the jab is you do not have to rotate the shoulder. The weight must come forward in the jab. You see? So I'm going to keep it this way, and I'm going to train myself not to flare my elbow, not to bring it back too low, so when I punch, it goes in and comes right back out the same way. Okay, now connecting that. Alright, so it's all one motion, coming from, again, it's all connected from here, the hip, elbow, wrist, to the knuckles. Okay, now another very, very important point. Upon locking, to enable the maximum amount of power and impact, when you throw in the jab, what I want to do is I want to connect. This is the target. The target's here. I'm actually not going to punch from my shoulder at all. I'm going to punch from the back of my shoulder blades. See this? You'll see a lot of old school boxers when they punch. Muhammad Ali used to call it the anchor punch, because it was like whipping his shoulder and anchoring and dropping an anchor. So when you see boxers doing this, right? What they're doing is they're using their shoulder blades, rolling the shoulder to drop their weight. What I want to do is use this right here. See? The shoulders. And what we're going to do is when we throw that punch, we're going to lock it at the back. Right? It's like locking the door. That's going to make sure that that punch is nice and stiff with maximum power. Okay? So when we throw it, the test is if you do this, if you line up against something solid like a wall, and you don't punch the wall, you line up against the wall and you push back and forth, and what you'll start to feel is the muscles will lock from the back of the shoulder blades, the lats, the shoulder must drop. Okay? You do not want to start picking up your shoulder like this. Okay? Because that's like cocking, and they're going to see that. So it's drop, drop, drop. And notice how the connection from my shoulder then goes to my elbow. So it's from back here, and everything locks on impact. Okay, and again, coming in, chest height. No telegraphing the jab. This comes from here. Okay, so that's how we work the jab. That's structuring all the punches to be as powerful as possible. Specifically, I'm going to be working on the straight punches. Those seem to be the hardest to do, that guys have a hard time with. They're the most effective punches. Okay, so there's the left jab. When it comes to throwing the right hand, again, you want to bring everything down, lower your center of gravity. Power's coming from your center of mass. So punch at that height, so I'm not picking up my shoulder. Now, watch the difference between the jab. The jab, the shoulder can go forward. If I throw the right hand the same way, I get this. Okay, so there's no connection there. This is just arm punch. What I want to do is to get my weight, is I want to turn my knees together. This engages the hips. The hip and shoulder should be thought of as one. See how that's turning over? Notice I'm a little bit down low, so my weight transfers. Again, I'm not doing this because the weight's on my back foot. The weight is going to come forward, shifting towards the target. Shift, shift, keeping the elbow in line. Now I've turned it over. And again. Watch again. Once this turns, don't do this. See how the elbow has gone behind my body? The elbow should stay in front of the ribs. Tuck it in front of the ribs. That's why you're here, guarding your ribs. All the power is coming from here. If I rotate too fast, again, look at my elbow flaring. I need it to stay in line. Turn it over just a little bit. see that? Okay. So again, I'm punching a lot lower than normal to build. And again, you want to feel that the punch starts from the back of the shoulder blades. Lock it. Okay? So that's my advice for working on how to build a lot of impact and power into your punches. Start with the jab and the right hand. And again, this is a fantastic tool to just really train that straight line and practice the structure in which you can build maximum power. Okay? Because you just saw that the second I start moving, you're gonna hit this right away. Okay? I'm gonna add some videos of some old school boxers in which you can look at and study yourself. The likes of Joe Louis, Sugar Ray Leonard, Sugar Ray Robinson, Rocky Marciano, Muhammad Ali. If you notice, even George Foreman, when they hit the bag, pay attention, the elbows are tucked in against the rib and they never punch above chest height because they know that's where all the power is coming from. You practice punching from here using your body weight. Okay? Hope you enjoyed this video and I will see you again soon.